Carnivorous robots chow down in Chinatown, while brutal ninjutsu warriors, blood descendants of the deadly Foot Clan, bust up bystanders from the Bronx to Broadway. Police SWAT teams can't stop them, but the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles can. Because powered by slices of pizza, they're always ready to rumble, with nunchucks, katana blades, and a party bus loaded with anti-Foot Clan missiles. So team up with the Turtles, Raphael, Leonardo, Michelangelo, and Donatello. Then switch on the Tortoise radar, following your map and sixth sense past savage traps and secret sewage passages. Knock heads with the nasty ninjutsu and either splatter them senseless or get yourself turned into turtle soup. In the very first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game from Ultra and Konami, in a roundabout sort of way, in 1989. The Japanese title being Fierce Turtle Ninja Legend, and known in Europe as Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles, because ninjas are not allowed in Europe. The game was developed by Konami and originally released in Japan through Konami, though in North America it was released through Ultra because of the limit Nintendo put on releases per year. Followed by a release through the European equivalent, Palcom Software. This was the first game, and according to this, it was based on the 1987 TV series, which was in its third season at the time of the game's original release, although the art style more resembles the original comic series, which is much more accurate. The game follows the comic books much more closely than the TV series does. In fact, if you look at the box art to the game, you'll notice all of the turtles wearing red bandanas instead of having different colored ones. That was a staple in the early editions of the comic book. It was ported to various home computer platforms in 1990. It was ported to Nintendo's PlayChoice 10 arcade system in 91 and the Virtual Console in 2007. It was taken off the Wii Shop in 2012, though. The gameplay begins with an overhead view used for navigating around the mission map, switching to a side view whenever a turtle being controlled enters a manhole or building, kind of like Castlevania and Zelda 2. Enemies can attack the player while exploring the overhead view, which include foot soldiers, roller cars, and in latter missions, even aircraft. However, we can strike back with our weapon, or in Mission 3, fire missiles or a cannon from the party wagon. Once inside a sewer or building, the player encounters enemy characters such as fire freaks, additional foot soldiers, and mousers. We can acquire weapons and special items and collect pizza to restore health. A screen accessed with the start button shows a summary of each turtle's health and whatever special weapon they have picked up, and a map grid of the current area. Now I'm all discombobulated. Sorry about that. There is no map available for Mission 6, in which we are inside the Technodrome. We will get messages from either Splinter or April O'Neil on the start screen also. Our turtle, who runs out of health, falls into a fatal trap, or is run over by a roller car, is not actually killed. Instead, he is captured by the enemy, losing whatever special weapon he has acquired. Captured turtles can be rescued starting in Mission 3, though only one turtle can be freed per level. The second half of Mission 2, the turtles dive into the Hudson River to find and disarm a total of 8 time bombs that have been planted at the dam. In this level, we must navigate a number of traps such as electrical currents and electrified seaweed with a time limit of 2 minutes and 20 seconds to find and disarm them all. Should the player fail to find all the bombs within the time limit, the game immediately ends. Which, that level on its own has been called one of the hardest things to accomplish in the NES. The original NES version was a major success. Over 4 million copies sold. It was one of the best-selling third-party NES games, and a series of computer ports were developed and rushed out in time for that year's Christmas season, but they did not fare nearly as well. Commercially or critically, in fact. Despite the fact that this game was a success, it got many mixed reviews. The game received criticism for its difficult gameplay, being noted by many fans and critics as being one of the more frustrating NES games made. However, the computer versions were even harder due to sloppy programming and controls. The PC port notably has an impossible section where a player must jump from a low-hanging ceiling and cannot avoid colliding with it and falling into a sewer. The game, however, did have a cheat code that allowed this level to be skipped. Other people were disappointed that the game was not an arcade port as expected. The NES game does not have a save feature, which added to the difficulty since you must complete the game in one sitting, although computer ports do. The game received Nintendo Power's 1989 Game of the Year award. And in 1989, Konami also released an arcade game called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which is why people thought this was going to be a port. In 1990, it was ported to the NES as Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game, as a follow-up to the original NES, even though it wasn't a true sequel in terms of gameplay. The second game had much stronger ties to the TV series, including using the cartoon's art style, more straightforward beat-em-up gameplay, and support for 4-player simultaneous play, although only 2 could play at a time on the NES. The new style became the standard for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game for the next few years. I had this game when I was a kid. This is one of the few games I had, just to give you an idea of what I had when I was a child and how much my parents must have hated me. I had this game. I had Gunsmoke from Capcom. I had Kid Icarus. I had Dragon Spirit. I had Final Fantasy and Dragon Warrior. Now, of all of those, 2 of them were insanely difficult, and I never actually managed to make it through them on my own. This was one of them. Kid Icarus was the other, though we did know some of the codes for Kid Icarus to get through the levels. So this game was really one of the inspirations for what I used to call my Let's Play therapy, where I went back and beat all these games that I was never able to beat. This was one of them, and this also ended up being part of the NES Atlas series of Let's Plays that I have finished. I don't dislike the game. It is buggy. It's got the usual flickery Konami graphics from time to time. But overall, I think it's a pretty solid game. It's not super great, but it's pretty fun.